Good morning, everybody. For those that are new here or have perhaps never attended a Coffee Time with Bear, this is a little bit more free form rather than the written briefs that we do 3 days per week, plus the additionals on Patreon. This is just a kind of hang out, drink coffee, read comments, poke around the internet, talk to Taylor Swift as a dude. You know what I mean? Just it's a little bit more chill than the other productions that we do around here during the week. So, good morning and welcome. Crack on with Novak. Good morning, crack on. Badger, good morning. The casserole is in the oven. I repeat, the casserole is in the oven. Okay, if you got a casserole in the oven, it is not time to be making comments on YouTube at the same time. I mean, whatever you're into, but usually when I got the oven preheated, I got other things on my mind. You know what I mean? Ashley Storms, good morning. The Scorned Lioness. Good morning, D-Bert. Overall living. Shalom, brother. I am Bear. Like you've never seen me with a shaved head before, bro. The remaining remnant has not. Here, I'll fix it for you. How's that? Better. Happy Marine Corps birthday to all you crayon eaters out there. The only armed forces branch started in a bar. Good job, gentlemen. I know you are overall 11. Shane Morris. Shane, Mama wants you to stay. You ever seen that movie? You're a cold solar panel. Good morning, Andrew Barnes. Good morning. Go on with you, broken angel. Sitting on my porch with my coffee. What are the odds? I know, it's a vast conspiracy, brother. To assemble all these militant Hebrews at the same day, at the same time, performing the same tasks. Who'd have thought? As if we're the ones to be concerned with. You guys know the deal. We're up to 104,000 subs. If you're new here, we appreciate you very much. Just go ahead and subscribe already, because I promise you, it's not worth trying to find this every day. It helps us in our ongoing battle against the YouTube algorithmic robots, which we would prefer to face off. I would fight a YouTube robot in the octagon. I'd be cool with that. Like, I'd be totally, like, they can build whatever robot they want, and I'd just fight it. I think that's fine. And if we win, they got to leave us alone. And if they win, we'll just stay exclusively on Patreon. You know, like, let's just make it fun. Let's make it fun. We'll do a pay-per-view for Grindstone. All the money goes to charity. It'd be a blast. But in the meanwhile, if you could just go ahead and thumbs up this video, subscribe, and share it out to people you think that would need to see it, that'd be wonderful. As always, please continue to feed the dance monkeys your intel. They get cranky when they don't get any intel, and a bunch of cranky monkeys in cages is not the kind of thing that I look forward to every day. So please feed your tasty intel nuggets to intel@bearindependent.com so that the dance monkeys have something to nom on. As always, Patreons are backup. Okay, not only is it our backup, it's also chock full of exclusive content. So for $1 or more per month, or $10 a year, you can sign up at Patreon. Just go to Patreon, Patreon.com, and search for Bear Independent, and you'll find us. So it's not like I'll go spend $1 a month in case Bear's YouTube channel goes away. It's like I'm going to go spend $1 a month and have access to between 30 and 100 exclusive pieces of content per month. in addition to everything that we do for free on YouTube. So you might consider checking that out. Know what I mean? You know what I mean. There's a chicken up here that's tried to lay eggs everywhere on this porch this morning, and now we shall throw rocks. Run, chicken! One pizza costs more than $12. Agreed. Mark Chase, good morning. Yeah, Ashley can only count to 7.9 now because of angry monkeys. Canuck, good morning. Street Fighter 2. I 1 year for Sam Hain, what y'all know as Halloween, went as Zangief. Let me explain why. You see it now? Yeah. See? Barry, you remind me of a country version of Thor himself. You're welcome, Dominic. Thank you, question mark. You know, I shaved my head this morning at the end of this Nazarite vow, and the strangest, at least to me, the strangest context popped into my head, like a voice. It was like, good, you're back in the war. You can touch dead bodies again. I was like, oh, that's not what I expected to hear this morning, but okay. So I'm just throwing that out there. I don't know what that means, but there you go. What is the Nazarite vow? The Nazarite vow comes from Numbers chapter 6. I saw somebody asked about watermarks on the ballot. We'll talk about that in a minute. Numbers chapter 6. There's Numbers 15. Nazarite vow. Come on, thumbs, do what you do. And Yahweh, the Lord your God, spoke to Moses, the dude that Charlton Heston played, saying, speak to the children of Israel. That's us, Genesis 32. And say to them, when a man or a woman does separate by making a vow of a Nazarite, he separates himself to Yahweh, the Lord your God. He separates himself from wine and strong drink. He drinks neither vinegar of wine nor vinegar of strong drink. Neither does he drink any grape juice, nor eat grapes or raisins. All the days of his separation he does not eat whatever is made of the grapevine from seed to skin. All the days of the vow of his separation a razor does not come upon his head, until the days are completed for which he does separate himself to Yahweh. He is set apart. He shall let the locks of the hair of his head grow long, which is why yesterday my hair was all over the place, because I typically run very short hair on top of my head. And for the vast majority of my life, it was precisely this long until I met my wife, and she decided that I like the way that you look with a little bit of hair. And so then I've been rocking some hair for a while, because I like it when my wife likes the way that I look, because then she's more likely to preheat the oven, if you know what I mean. So she's over there smirking at me sideways, sitting on the porch. So all the days of his separation to Yahweh, he does not go near a dead body. He does not make himself unclean. This is ritually unclean, because dead bodies are ritually unclean. He does not make himself unclean for his father, his mother, his brother, or his sister when they die, because his separation to Elohim is on his head. All the days of his separation he is set apart. Then it goes on to do talk about what happens if you do come in contact with a dead body while you're on a Nazarite vow. And this is the Torah of the Nazarite. When the days of his separation are completed, he is brought to the door of the tent of appointment. We don't have one of those right now, so I went down to my gazebo, which is where I built the first ever stacked rock of altars unto Yahweh and made my first burnt offering during Shavuot 2.5 years ago. He is brought to the door of the tent of appointment. He shall bring his offering to Yahweh, and the priest shall bring them before Yahweh. Who's the priest? We know from Hebrews that Yeshua HaMashiach, Jesus the Christ, is the high priest. And prepare his sin offering and an ascending offering and a peace offering. And the Nazarite shall shave the head of his separation at the door of the tent of appointment, and shall take the hair from the head of his separation and put it on the fire which is under the slaughtering of the peace offerings. Did that. And so, since the physical temple is no longer and the temple is in here, and since the high priest is Yeshua HaMashiach, Jesus the Christ, I'm going to be making an offering later today that, let's say I'm going to pour into a couple of different ministries as my observance of this vow, because I'm not Jewish, okay? I do what the Bible says, all of it. So I believe in a completeness of understanding. And so, since I can't keep that portion word for word, which no man can keep the Torah word for word. If he could, then we wouldn't need a Messiah. I'm going to do the next best thing. I'm going to go with the conviction and circumcision of my heart and make an offering by pouring into a couple of different ministries. So, not my ministries, because that's money laundering, but a couple of other ministries. So that's the Nazarite vow. Now, there's some very famous Nazarites in the Bible. John the Baptist was a Nazarite from birth. Samson, the guy that the Spirit of the Lord came over, and then he punched his fist through the jawbone of a donkey and beat to death 1,000 people with. The next time somebody's like, the gifts of the Spirit are love and kindness, and beating people to death with jawbones as well. Yes, it's love and kindness. Yes, it is compassion, but it's also strength and authority. And it is executing the will of the Father, sometimes with righteous anger. So, Andrew, good morning. Who you are? Yeah, I could do that, Andrew. I've done some of that previously, but maybe it's time for another one. And so, Paul, the Apostle Paul, y'all know him as Paul. His name was Shaul of Tarsus. The Apostle Paul in Acts takes a Nazarite vow to prove that he still believes in the Torah and the prophets, as well as the resurrection, a completeness of understanding. In fact, he talks about that in Acts 24, verse 14, right up over here. Acts 24, verse 14. This is the Apostle Paul speaking, the guy that everybody says, well, Paul said the law was done away with. And this I confess to you, that according to the way, what did Yeshua say? I am the way, the truth, and the life. According to the way, which they call a sect, so I worship the Elohim of my fathers, believing all that has been written in the Torah and the prophets, having an expectation in Elohim, which they themselves also wait for, that there is to be a resurrection of the dead, both the righteous and the unrighteous. And in this I exercise myself to have a clear conscience towards Elohim and men always. So, there you go. Paul took a Nazarite vow, and he believed in... Will Hami and Renee be on the back porch tonight for Tactical Tuesday? Very likely. Very likely. Good morning, Jay Johns. Good morning, Mad Kelt. And so it's a fullness of belief thing. I have not seen The Chosen. I watch practically nothing. You know what I watch? I watch old episodes of Forgotten Weapons on YouTube to fall asleep to every night. I know I watched the first 4 minutes. I know the first 4 minutes of detail on every gun that's older than I am, thanks to Gun Jesus Ian McCullum. That's it. That's what I watch. I listen to a lot of podcasts because podcasts are passive consumption, not active consumption. So.
And what does Homie watch?
Homie watches restoration videos. Good morning, Pastor Joe Fox. Hey, look, I look like Brother Richard now.
I watch them restore old tools.
Yeah, you watch them restore old tools. That chicken keeps trying.
Hell-bent.
She's hell-bent on laying an egg up there. All right. All right, whatever.
Leave her alone.
We shall see. Good luck, chicken. I feel like if we throw something bigger at her, she'll quit trying to poop an egg up there.
I just don't want her to knock off the liquor.
Yeah, I don't want her to knock off the liquor bottles either, but we'll see what happens.
It'll be a drunk chicken.
Drunk chicken. So there's been a lot of famous Nazarites throughout the Word, and they are set apart either from birth or set apart for a time to do the Father's will. And part of it for me is after Sukkot, which is the high feast in the fall for us that do the whole Bible, the Feast of Tabernacles, the Festival of Ingathering, Sukkot, when we're commanded to go camping, when we dwell in booths, aka tents. After Sukkot, there was a lot of fellowship during Sukkot, and a lot of that fellowship involved drinking as well. And I'm the type of person that doesn't really have a gray area, and so I knew that in order for me to slide back into full-blown alcoholism, I had to press pause, and so I did for a month. That month is up. And but part of that as well, and see, that's the thing with the Nazarite. He does not drink wine nor strong drink. Well, I know people who have said, well, see, it doesn't say anything about beer. I can drink beer. Yeah, you can, but it kind of gets away from the point of the vow in the first place. In fact, in the Talmud, which is the oral tradition, which I don't necessarily ascribe to because it's the words of men, not the words of the Most High, it's enticing a Nazarite to drink is the same as silencing the prophet in severity in transgression of the Father's will. So the Nazarite's not supposed to drink at all. And so that's kind of how I have been approaching these things. But I have got to tell you, in the last 30 days, the Father has just moving like an actual bulldozer in my life, just pushing me around and reshaping me in myriad provisions and blessings. And so it's been very, very cool to see that. And to feel the Spirit move the way that it has moved in so many aspects of my life has been very powerful over the last 30 days. So, yeah. Barry, what do you think will happen in the next 30 days? What's the most important thing to be staking if you have already been, stacking, if you've already been stacking food? Well, that depends on your location. I think if you're in the city or the suburbs, you really need to have your bug out plan squared away right now. You really need to leave right now. I understand most of you can't or won't. And so with that, you need to make sure that you actually have a plan, not like, well, I think I'm going to go to Sally's house when this happens. No, you need to have it written down for a couple of reasons. The first is if you haven't already established hard parameters around what you're supposed to do, you're going to require yourself to be making intellectual decisions in a highly emotional situation when you're stressed. That's not good. That can lead to critical failures. You're also going to capitulate. You're also going to negotiate with yourself. This is why I tell you guys to write down bug out indicators and to have a list of them so you can check them off as these things go off. because otherwise you're going to negotiate with you. It's not that bad. It's not. And next thing you know, because you've spent that time capitulating, you've spent that time negotiating with yourself, you've burned up the actionable time that you had to maneuver and get away from the problem in the first place. And so if you live in a place where bug out is your primary option, your primary means of dealing with bad things around you, then you need to go ahead and just have that squared away right now. Know what you're doing and then practice it for real. This is the age of COVID. Everything's weird. You acting weird isn't going to raise nearly as many eyebrows as it did before. And in fact, if you do this enough times, when I lived in North Texas, I did this enough times that my neighbors didn't even raise an eyebrow anymore. When I opened the garage door, backed the Explorer up and hooked the little 5x7 trailer loaded down with camping gear, it's just a normal thing. That guy likes to go camping. Yep, sure do. But I was practicing bugging out. And I had a little 5x7 trailer preloaded with everything that I needed on it for my wife and my kids and myself. That all we had to do was grab the pre-packed bags for the kids, throw them in the back of the car, get the kids in the car, and hook the trailer, and we're gone. And in fact, my wife was responsible for getting the kids in the car. I was responsible for grabbing the bags, throwing them in the back, and hooking the trailer. And it took anywhere between 2 and 5 minutes, depending on how cooperative the children were. And we're out. Gone. That fast. Not, do you think we should bring the camp stove? What about this hatchet? I really like this hatchet. Well, this is my favorite knife, but I really like that. No. Figure all that out now. Have it ready to go now. If you live in a place where bugging out is not your primary means of defense against potential chaos, which it shouldn't be, step one, your first course of action should be to shelter in place, be where you are, assuming that that's a viable option where you are. If you have food, what's your water like? I find a lot of people have a lot of food, but their water is questionable at best. Storage capacity and catching capacity. A family of 5 rationed will consume 9,000 gallons of water per year. Yeah. Prepper classroom, all that math is in the prepper classroom underwater. But a family of 5 rationed water will consume 9,000 gallons of water per year. You can't store 9,000 gallons. That's 50,000 pounds of water. But you can catch that much. You can pull that much out of the ground. You don't want to be running back and forth trying to get it, because remember this too. Where do predators hunt? At the water hole. So I'd get your water figured out real quick. And then the other thing, everybody wants me to talk about security. What you guys really want to know is how many AR-15s should you have, and how many loaded magazines, and what kind of plates should I run, and should I get the PVS-14s, and will that work with my PEC-15, and what's your favorite Olight to stick on the end of your gun, and what do you think? Do you like the Sparrow suppressor? And I was gonna get one of those Geisley triggers, and then I thought, what if I got the one, the Echo, the Fostech Echo? I should get that one instead. And about bullshit. That's not the first thing that you need to be worried about. Is it something that this chicken is hell-bent on ruining my day? Is it something that should be on your radar? Yeah. Is it something that you need to consume yourself with? No. But it's because it's way sexier than me telling you that you need to figure out a composting toilet. See? People go, poop? No, not interested. We'll figure that out when it happens. No, you won't. No, you won't. You won't have any time, money, energy, resources to dedicate to it because you bought your 17th personal defense weapon flex raider thing so that I can shoot my pistol more accurately. Learn to shoot it like this, and then you don't need the transformer thing. Is it cool? Yeah, but you know what's even more cool? Not starving to death. People you love not dying. Being able to be proactive, not reactive. Having functional intelligence networks. Having communications. Being very neighborly so that you're building rapport with all the people in your area. Having your agriculture spun up. Not living in a place where your first line of defense is leaving. So, yeah. What else would I be stacking? Water, sanitation. I mean, forget ammo. Ammo's getting incredibly difficult to find. It's only going to get harder to find if Biden gets in. And I do not, I know we have so many new people here, so I do not want to be one of those. I told you so, but we've been talking about this for 2.5 years. And I'm hoping that you have been stacking ammo. Parakeet Assault, Essential Minerals, agreed. Denny Jackson, good morning. Battle Chickens. I'm in Nowhere, Oklahoma, and we've had not near as much trouble here continuing to stack firearms and ammunition here than other places. And I was at the local feed store, which is one of the places that people buy ammo around here. And the only calibers that they had in stock were 17 HMR, 270, and 300 Win Mag. Oh, and 32 ACP. They had 32 ACP handgun round, 17 HMR varmint round, 270, which is a deer round, and 300 Win Mag, which is a deer round. That's it. The entire remainder of the shelves was completely empty. So how many gallons of essential oils should a family of 3 prep to cure COVID, gunshot wounds, and cancer? I would say if you had one 55-gallon drum full of lavender for each of you, that would be a good start. And then I would get one of those barbecue basting brushes that people are so fond of using, so you can dump that in the lavender and complete your ablutions, you know, and just, that should work. That's probably enough to get you started for a week or two. Then after that, if you could find a tanker truck filled with thieves, that'd be good to go. And like a little 2-inch trash pump with a fire hose, and you could just spray the whole, everything, everybody. You know that scene from Rambo when they've got them down in the holding cell underneath the sheriff's office and they're spraying them with the hose? That's what it should look like when you take a thieves bath. One of those. You're welcome, Brent. Yeah, I see that. Biden lost his presidential. Yeah, Andy Barnes, you're right, man. I got friends at the local FFL as well that have been holding some back for me. And actually, I know one of the guys at the feed store. I said, "Hey, man, you didn't text me?" He goes, "It was gone so fast, I didn't have a chance to text you when it showed up." I was like, "That's good to know." What do you mean, wow, no hair? I have lots of hair. What's this? What's this? What is this? It's a food storage device for end times. That's what it is. Bear, what is written on the bill of your hat? Shema Yisrael, Yahuwah Eloheinu, Yahuwah Echad. Hear, O Israel, Yahuwah is our Lord, Yahuwah is one. Deuteronomy 6:5. Here, I'll tell you. Deuteronomy. Are you going to work, honey? Why? Don't. Deuteronomy 6:4, rather. I'm sorry. Here, well, you know what? We'll just start Deuteronomy 6. And this is the command, the laws, and the right rulings which Yahuwah your Elohim has commanded to teach you to do in the land which you are passing over to possess, so that you fear Yahuwah your Elohim, to guard all his laws and all his commands, which I command you, you and your son and your grandson, all the days of your life, and that your days be prolonged. And you shall hear, O Israel, and shall guard to do, that it might be well with you, and that you increase greatly, as Yahuwah Elohim of your fathers has spoken to you, in a land with milk and honey, flowing with milk and honey. Hear, O Israel, Yahuwah our Elohim, Yahuwah is one. And you shall love Yahuwah your Elohim with all your heart, with all your being, and with all your might. And these words which I am commanding you today shall be in your heart, and you shall impress them upon your children, and shall speak of them when you sit in your house, and when you walk by the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise up. and shall bind them as a sign upon your hand, and they shall be as frontlets between thine eyes. And you shall write them on the doorposts of your house and on your gates. Yeah. It's just a hat. It's just a hat. It's a condor hat that has Sharpie underneath. That's it. I got that idea from a brother. I'm not that original and creative. I got that idea from a brother. So a Bergara in 6.5. That's a nice rifle. Bergara makes good stuff. Ah, the reflection. You're welcome? Question mark. Especially if you got a big dome. Is that the same chicken? What are you doing, chicken? This chicken is possessed. I think we need to rebuke it with hollow points. Run, bird, run! I just made a 7.62 39 AR. I hope that you do not have the feed issues that everybody else has. What cigar are you smiling, Bear? The cigar that I'm currently smiling is a Man of War Ruination. The chicken needs a hug, not a rock. Well, Mary, I'm gonna hug it around its neck, then I'm gonna gut it. Well, I'm going to pull its feathers off. Then I'm going to gut it. Then I'm going to flay it out. I'm going to fry it. I'll bread it first with seasoned flour, with salt, pepper, probably some onion powder, a little bit of garlic, and some just a spattering, a sprinkling of Italian herbs and seasonings. And then I'll lay it nice and flat like so. Dredge, egg, dredge, hot oil about 400. Get it nice and hot, pan fried, then put it in an oven to hold it at 275 on a rack on a cookie sheet so that it doesn't get all greasy. And then maybe make some mashed potatoes to go with it and some creamed corn, possibly some asparagus, and maybe some homemade rolls. Yeah, we don't eat chickens around here at all. On my way. Salivating now. We need a hat like that with it sewn on. The hat would be awesome. Yeah, I mean, it would be, but here's the thing. Go to Deuteronomy 6:4. Open up your Bible to Deuteronomy 6:4. Take your hat off and get a Sharpie and just whoosh, boom. What time is dinner? I'm not cooking for all of y'all. Yeah, some person. We cook our animals. We had breakfast sausage the other day that we made from lamb. Oh my goodness. The burden of this law. It was unbearable how good it was. But lamb breakfast sausage, beef bacon, homemade scrambled eggs, and homemade biscuits prior to our Bear Camp Bible study. It was phenomenal. I haven't heard roosters in a while. Goes that they're here. I've just killed a bunch of them. So we left enough to service the flocks, but hopefully not so many that they have to constantly be engaged in a measuring contest all day. Will there be some of Hami's homemade biscuits? Good morning, Garen. Yeah, Hami's the one that made the biscuits last time. This past first day, Sunday. I can be there before noon. Prove it. The Bear Food Network. I haven't... Question, for a family of 5, how many chickens and roosters should you have? Curtis Spencer, great question. One rooster can easily service 10 to 20 birds. If you're going to be incubating eggs or hatching eggs, then you really only need one rooster. 2 is one, 1 is none, but you get enough eggs and they hatch out in a short enough cycle every 21 days if you have an incubator that you can make more roosters. That's why I have zero concern about killing pretty much any rooster that I want to around here. As long as my wife thumbs ups the kill order, I'm good. But I'd say it's ask yourself, how many eggs do you eat? every day. 10 layers. I mean, if you had a dozen birds and 10 or 11 of them were layers and 1 or 2 of them were roosters, you'd be in a good spot. You'd have an alpha rooster and a beta rooster, and you'd have anywhere between 7 and 10 eggs a day. You know, so on the week, you know, think about that. That's 50 to 70 eggs a week. Now we're going into fall right now, which means their laying production would be diminished, but you're still talking 3-4 dozen eggs a week out of just that many birds laying. Chicken, go away. It's the same bird. Honey, this chicken is fisting to get it. Do bug out vehicles make any sense, Bear? Yeah, listen. A Prius is a bug out vehicle if you're leaving bad stuff going to good stuff. People get wrapped around the axles on this stuff. I gotta have, and listen, do I want an Earth Roamer F750 with a 14-inch lift and 10 inches of suspension travel and a 17,000 bumper winch and a 22,000-pound towing capacity and a 10K PTO generator? Yeah, let's put a couple of mod deuces on it and maybe some 249 sticking out the side of it. Sounds great. I'm in. Yes, I want that. Do I need that? No. A 4-wheel drive pickup truck will suffice for the vast majority of people. And if you don't have that, your crossover SUV will probably get the job done, and it may get the job done better because it doesn't stick out like a sore thumb. So, you know, lots of people want to go into OPSEC, man. It's all about the OPSEC. Well, yeah, part of operational security is not having your cover blown. This gets back to actually having a bug out plan, because then you can look at your plan and go, huh, we're driving through this area where perhaps our Land Rover might stick out. See, if you drive a Land Rover around here, we're going to take notice. If you drive a 1-ton dually pickup truck that's got a feeder on the back of it through, you know, north central Texas, it's going to get noticed because it sticks out. It's not commonplace. So, Philip S., bless you. Brother Bear, what happened to your beautiful hair? Nazarite vow, brother. Numbers chapter 6. I appreciate you. Y'all gonna be mad if a Maxima is blowing your doors off while you're trying to be tactical. Oh man, that's awesome. DHS putting out a doc saying right-wing extremists are our biggest threat to democracy. Yeah, whatever. Have you guys seen this headline from The Blaze? BLM and anarchist groups call to burn it down. Berate Biden supporters. You are a bunch of fools. We've been talking about this for a while. I mean, what did BLM say back in the day? A Biden win is a win for white supremacy. Here, we'll read a little bit from this. This is from Paul Saka at The Blaze. While there were massive celebrations across the country after several news outlets declared Joe Biden the winner of the 2020 presidential election, there were also groups marching against President Donald Trump and in opposition to the reported president-elect. There were large crowds of Biden supporters partying at the Black Lives Matter Plaza in Washington, D.C. By the way, what makes it Black Lives Matter Plaza? The fact that they took it and hold it? On one sense, yes, there's a lesson in that for all of us. What happens in SHTF? Take it and hold it. Now it's Joe Bob Plaza, okay? But in the other sense, why don't they just roll in there with some MRAPs and go, no, not yours anymore? This chicken's going to die. They held a large sign. Oh, I'm sorry. Black Lives Matter Plaza in Washington, D.C. on Saturday. There were also other groups who were not in as much of a festive mood. There was a crew of black-clad demonstrators, many holding umbrellas, marching towards Black Lives Matter Plaza. They held a large sign that read, "Free the people, fight the power, F the police, defund, disarm, disband." Another sign said, "Burn down the American plantation." The group chanted, "What do we want? Justice. When do we want it? Now. If we don't get it, burn it down, burn it down." The mob chanted, "F Trump, F Biden, no more presidents." See? So there you go. F Trump, F Biden, no more presidents. They don't care. The whole system is destroyed to them. And in one sense, I totally get it. I can get down with that line of thinking. If it's all a, I'm not saying we should go burn it down, but I totally understand losing your faith in the system. If we could agree on anything, I think me and them are right about there. But there's a Biden win is not a win for anybody. Right-wing extremists being the number one concern for DHS, though, I think is completely inaccurate. I got to do something about this chicken. Hold on, y'all. Y'all think I'm kidding about chickens? That guy there, he just plays a homesteader on the YouTubes. He don't know nothing about no chickens. Uh-huh. You want to be famous on the internet? Is that what your issue is this morning? Do you want to say hi to the people? Boom. Chicken. You want to go in a frying pan? Is that what you want to do? Be free! Get out of here. All right. Family portrait. I name her Nugget. Man. Hola, pollo. Weirdest how do I prep for question. Oh, here comes the rooster. That's top. Uh-huh. Dark winter equals grid down. Yes, that's what people keep saying. Like people keep saying. I don't. How shall I say this nicely? I get tired of telling you people to have a plan for a grid down scenario. This MFer is back on my porch. I literally just picked her up and threw her off my porch. You watched it. You watched me do it. Well, there's only one way to handle this now. Or are you coming back because you want to be friends? Proceed very carefully, chicken. Your life hangs in the balance. I wonder if she's already got a nest up there. See, I didn't look at that. She knows you love her. Now you want to be with her. I want her to be in my intestines, not on my porch. They think it's a ride now. Good morning, Dudley. She needs another hug. Bear, how do I prep for skinwalkers? Double op buckshot and Gatorade because you're going to get dehydrated. Grid down scenario, dark winter. You got to have a plan. You just have to have a plan for that. I'm not going to go into the details of what our plan is because it's ours and that's actual operational security. But you have to have a plan for what is the number one consumer of electricity in your home? Anybody who said refrigeration and HVAC is correct. So you need a way to at least see, here's the thing. You can eat most of what's in your fridge in 2 days, 3 days, the amount of time that it's going to take before all that stuff goes bad. And you should plow that stuff. You should make the biggest feast of, pickles and leftover chicken and, pad thai, whatever, right? Just eat it all up. But then you still got the stuff in your freezers. Now, it'll last a few more days. If you have coolers on hand, you can get that stuff out of the freezers and it will eventually thaw out, but you can be cooking and consuming that as well. But just started a channel on it, tech preservation. That's awesome. But you need something a little bit more long-term than that. We, for example, have multiple freezers, and they're all filled with food that I would rather not lose. And people would say, you should pressure can it. We did. We have. We have another big pressure canning day coming up. But our ladies spent 72 hours around the clock pressure canning. And I still had to go get 2 more freezers, which, praise the Father, we were able to find. It was totally his hand that we found them. Just to be able to deal with all the chicken that we had got to can. So it's easy to say, Bear, you should pressure can it, or I'll just pressure can everything in my freezer. Well, see, we actually do that, and it's not easy to actually do. It takes a lot of your time and effort and propane as well. So quiet, meat. So here's the deal. 3 hours minimum per batch, exactly, right? And how many batches can you do? We had 4 pressure canners running at the same time. 4, this many. So, yeah, and that's the other thing. What if you can't get canning supplies? Then what do you do? So the point here is grid down is the #1 disruptive threat for Americans, period, the end. And so I actually get, I get tired of telling you all that. And I know we have a lot of new people here, but I'm telling you, just like I've been telling you forever, to stack food to the rafters. Prior to COVID, I was saying something's coming. I don't know what it is, but I just have this conviction to tell you to get ready, be prepared, start stacking food. And COVID hit. Really? Really? She's like, I thought we were buds. Be gone, chicken. Look, what do you see behind me? IBC totes, 330s, 6 of them. That's 2,000 gallons of rainwater storage off of that right there. We don't just talk the talk, we walk the walk. When I say, hey, y'all need agriculture, this is what I'm talking about right here. Look at this. What do you want? She's like, I kind of enjoyed hanging out with you. I thought we were buds. Bap, bap. Bap, bap, bap. Bap, bap. Look at this.
No.
This chicken is just onto something. Bap, bap.
Did you show the people?
Yeah. I had to pull her off of the table over there. I picked her up and threw her off the porch after showing her to the people, and now she has come back again.
You gonna be a friendly chicken?
IBC, intermediate bulk container. Now here, give her to me.
Oh, now you're
I think she wants to be famous. I think that's what she wants. All right, tactical chicken, actual.
Guys.
Tactical chicken, actual. All right. Let's see. What shall we name you? It's the Marine Corps birthday, so Chesty. All right, Chesty. Bacock. Okay, that's a good one. Chesty. Yeah, the last said Chesty at the same time. There we go. Ranger girl's in. The cat is like, whoa, what's going on here? I thought I was the thing that y'all put on your lap. Dumpling. I like that. Sally for chicken salad sandwich. Good morning, Roger Rabbit Hole. Drumstick. Breasty puller. That's a good one. Operator Bach. Crayola. Simmer down, Crayola. I'll laugh when I want to laugh. What's this? Oh, she's too small. I can't even put her in a chokehold. Simmer down. I think every live stream you need to name a chicken. Well, the good news is we'll be able to live stream 1,000 more times before I got that figured out. My kids named one Nugget. Chowder. I like Chowder. That's a good one. So getting back to grid down scenario, right? Like, it's the most likely thing that's going to happen for North Americans, and our way of life is predicated on the successful flow of electrons. And so it's not just, look at this breeze today. Do you want to go back to your husband? No? Burr. Burr. Come and take it. Come and take it, bro. What you got? Been looking for a reason to shoot you anyway. Come on. Today on Bear Independent, Rooster Wars. Bear versus Top. All right. What? You gonna stay? You're the star of the show now? All right. Good. So, get off of the computer, asshole. Sorry, language. So getting back to grid down scenario, man, a storm can knock your power out, let alone the North Korean EMPs or whatever. Okay. So y'all need to have a grid down plan put in place, like sooner than later. Have someone throw it and skeet shoot the rooster. Oak leaves. Goza, oak leaves for chicken bedding is wonderful. That's a really good idea. Chickens have a handful of superpowers. They make eggs, they make meat, and they make soil. And so we do the deep bedding method in our chicken runs, meaning the moment you start to smell funkiness, and that funkiness is the interaction between the nitrogen in their poo and the sulfur in their pee, and it smells bad, okay? So you add more carbon, whether that's straw or cardboard or hay or wood chips or oak leaves or whatever. You add more carbon and you keep stacking it up, and the chickens will scratch through it and eat all the little bugs and stuff in it, and they're constantly turning that, and they make beautiful black soil. And oak leaves are very good for that, and it's a great thing to do with all your leaves. In fact, in North Texas, when we lived in the suburbs, when everybody would set their those big brown paper bags full of leaves out in their front yard, I would ride around with my pickup and pick them up and take them and throw them in my chicken run so that my chickens could turn them into compost for me. And so highly recommended you do that. If bears and chickens can get along, we have hope for the right and the left. There's someone behind you. Nope, that's an umbrella, dude. That's a post. That's a chair. That's an outhouse. She's a famous TikToker. I can't believe it's not orange yet. Pine duff. So that stuff takes a lot longer to break down, a couple of years. And the other thing that happens is that pine is very acidic. And so when you introduce that high acid stuff into your gardens, unless you're talking about things like berries and asparagus, it's not going to go well for the things that you're planting. So you want to be very careful using pine needles, pine duff, cedar chips, anything like that, because it's very acidic and it's not going to sweeten your soil. Yeah, CJ Johns, pine duff is great for blueberry production. That's exactly right. For berries and things like that that need the high acid, it works great. But if you're trying to grow tomatoes, not so much. Oh, you're back? Burp, burp. Burp, burp. Asparagus is awesome. I saw behind outhouse. Okay. Well, good news. There's eyes pointed towards the outhouse right now that aren't mine. So I know believo you. Pine tar is great for your skin. You're right, Character Matters. You should go ahead and do that. When I had my tree company back in the day, for those that don't know, my first business was timber. And is she Nashville hot? That's funny. I cut timber, trimmed trees, did technical tree removals, yada, 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 line clearance, the whole nine. And now what you may be seeing back there is a buck, because there's a little 4-pointer that likes to walk around over there, but he's a little 4-pointer. He's basically he's a spike with 2 little brow tines. But I used to hate cutting pine trees because the whole inside of your forearms just get absolutely covered in pine pitch. And the only good way to get rid of it is to cut it with something like kerosene or gasoline. And then you smell like kerosene or gasoline. And you have the added benefit of finding every little cut and scrape and nick that you got throughout the day of cutting timber. You know that it's there. Probably the only thing worse than that for finding cuts you didn't know you have is acetone. Because acetone will let you know every little tiny break in your skin, every nook and cranny, you know that it's there. Because you're like, huh, oh, okay, there's that. Wonderful. So acetone works better though. Yeah, exactly. So plus, when we were cutting timber back in the day, pallet stock still paid twice as much as pine logs. With pallet stock meaning our bad hardwood logs, the ones that were twisty or rotten or whatever. And you can cut pallet stock. You can take 5-foot long logs for pallet stock, okay? And pallet stock paid $400 per MBF, M being the Roman numeral for 1,000. So every 1,000 board foot paid $400. Pine, grade 2 pine, was paying $200 per MBF. Why the hell would you cut pine? Nah, I'm good. I'm good, man. Not when I can go, but back in the day, I could walk into the woods and cut black cherry for $17,000 per MBF, white oak for $12,000, red oak for $10,000 per MBF per 1,000 board foot, tulip, poplar, and ash for $6,000 to $8,000 per MBF. Why would you go cut pine for $200 per 1,000 board foot? Nah, I'm good, man. I'll stick to the hardwoods, please and thank you. Silver maple or black cherry. Now, I built my business. I built that business on black cherry. I'd go in and cruise the timber, which means you go in and look at the lots, the lots that you're going to cut, and you mark your outside perimeters. And then I would mark every single black cherry tree that I could find. And day one, we would go in and we would select harvest every single black cherry tree. We would run all those logs to the mill. We'd get a check that day for black cherry. And that check covered all of our operating expenses for the entire project, which means that every other load of logs that went out of there is gravy. So, yeah. Now, that was prior to the 2008 housing market crash. So, timber prices have changed considerably, and they haven't rebounded back to what they were. But walnut is my favorite wood in my area. Makes fine handles and handle scales. Yeah. Walnut is a soft hardwood. It is the woodworkers, one of the preferred woods of woodworkers, because it's hard enough that you can work with it, but soft enough that it, you keep a nice edge on all your saw blades and your chisels and everything, your planer knives. and it just works very easily. Cherry's the same way. Cherry's a hardwood, but it's a soft hardwood versus something like Brazilian rosewood, where you shoot a nail in it with a nail gun and the nail comes flying across the room and never even sticks into the board. So you know, I realize the hard soft thing a lot of you guys probably don't understand, but pine is a softwood. It's not really good for woodworking. It's good for framing, but it's not good for woodworking. I'm going to need to have 3 to 4 acres logged to turn into pasture. That's awesome. Keep the tops, what they call the slash and the armwood, and cut it for firewood, regardless of the species, because you can use, you know, a lot of people in North America flip out. They go, you can't burn that softwood for firewood. What do you think they burn in Canada? You just clean your chimney more often. That's all. Hey, not yours, Sam. So, plus campfire wood, you know, burning outside, you can burn anything you want outside. This chicken. Sarah, that's correct. No, he was eating the cat's food. Silver maple, yep. So you have 2 categories of what's called hard maple and soft maple. So, oh, you're back. Look at this thing. She wants to lay my breakfast in my lap. Well, nah, I'm good. Good morning, Daniel Kirkland. Dindo. Cedar brush here in Bertram, Texas. Yeah, in some places in Texas, all you're going to get is brush. What is birch? Birch is a hardwood. But birch is one of those things that birch are feeder trees. They tend to grow very tall but narrow. They grow up, they're top heavy, and then they fall over again. When they fall over, they rot relatively quickly, and they create that lovely forest loam that feeds the understory of the forest. Now, occasionally you do get big birch trees. Birch is incredibly dense. Green birch, meaning it's still living birch, is incredibly dense. It's very, very heavy. I've cut a few big birches, but most of them, you know, white birch, silver birch, brown birch, only get, man, if they get, on average, they might get as big around as this coffee cup, but they'll grow 30, 40, 50 feet tall and then fall over to feed the understory. But they make very good firewood as long as they're still standing. Down and dead birch is not necessarily recommended for firewood because of how quickly it starts to rot, and you get a lot of insect infestation in there because that's their job. That's what they do. They feed the understory. But they have a very deep and robust taproot, so they're pulling lots of nutrients up from the ground into the tree, which then falls over, decomposes in the understory, and creates that lovely loam. So there's a whole cycle of nutrient that's happening there because of those birch trees that's feeding the forest. I cut a birch tree one time. I had a 20-inch bar on my saw, and the bar didn't quite go through all the way from one side. So it was maybe 21, 22 inches in diameter. Springtime in upstate New York. And the top of the, if this was the top of the tree, or top of the stump after it fell over, there was water straight shooting up about this high out of the stump. It looked like you took a hose and turned it on just a little bit, and there was water just shooting straight up out of it. And I was like, that's incredible. Look at how well those roots are working. And then I got a drink of it. It was like the best mountain spring water you ever had that tasted like it was about 5% root beer. Oh, it was incredible. It was incredible. Good morning, AVT. Yeah, we're still going. It's coffee time with Bear, homie. So, yeah, absolutely delicious. Birch bark is awesome fire tinder. That's correct. You can also, on a brown birch, on the limbs and the little tiny branches, when they're green, springtime mostly, You can peel the bark back, and under the bark is a layer called the cambium. It's the green layer of the tree that as it grows, as the tree grows, that's what's growing. You take the back of your knife, like so. Take the back of your knife and scrape the cambium so you get a little bit of fluff, and pinch that like snuff, and it tastes like root beer barrels. It's delicious. We used to do that as well, walking through the woods. So Tango Charlie, amen. Red oak acorns have been dropping 2 months here in Tennessee. They are edible. So hillbilly. Yeah, brother, but hey, you know, walking around in the woods with a chainsaw is kind of hillbilly too, you know? So what about ironwood? Well, it depends on where you are, because certain regions of the country refer to ironwood as different things. Down in the South, it's bodark, which is bois d'arc, BOIS space D''ARC, bodark, bois d'arc. And I've cut down bodarks in upstate New York that people have said can't be cut down. Well, in a lot of cases, what I've found is people don't know how to properly sharpen axes or chainsaws, and then they chalk that up to the bodark is just so hard that you can't cut it. Yeah, you can. A good steel full chisel chain on a good chainsaw knocks it right over. It is a little bit pitchy, and it is a little bit rough on your chainsaws, and the reason for that is they have such a robust root structure as well that they pull grit out of the ground, sand, little bits of rock, the whole nine, and up into the bottom of the tree. So if you cut them too low, with every stroke of that chain, you're dulling the crap out of your chain. So you want to cut them about chest high and then push them over with the dozer, and you won't have that problem. Or pull them out with a tractor or a skid steer, track hoe, whatever you got. But I've cut a lot of bodark. It burns incredibly hot, but it's going to take it a full year to dry out where it'll burn properly. But it burns incredibly hot. You can start coal with bodark, no problem. Otherwise, you need something like red oak or white oak, something with a really high specific density to it that burns really hot for a really long time in order to get coal lit. So, amen, Jeff. Properly sharpened chainsaw chain is on a good saw is like, it's like, oh, I live for that kind of stuff, man. Or a axe with a perfect edge on it. You swing it into a tree and it just bites and sticks. Wah-cha! It's just, you can hop up on it. You can do pull-ups off of it, you know? I love that. I got a black walnut that's too close to the house. It needs to come out, which is where I'm expanding my garden to this next year. Okay, remember this, B-ski. Walnut has toxic oils in it that you do not, black walnut specifically, that you don't want to be using any of the chips, the sawdust, anything like that. So if you're going to garden there, when you cut that down, all of the fluff that you're going to throw out of your chainsaw, the little wood chips and all that, you want to gather that up and get that out of there, because black walnut is toxic to both plants and animals. So be careful with that. It's great for woodworking. If it's a good sized tree, you should probably sell it to somebody that buys timber. Sell the log to somebody that buys timber. Take it to a mill, have it cut into boards or slabs or whatever. They're phenomenal for that. But those wood chips are no good for animals or plants. So we have so much black walnut, and I had no idea. Crap. Well, Nancy, if you have so much of it and you need to get rid of it, like when it comes time to get rid of it, understand there's a lot of inherent value in those trees. So don't just cut them down and turn them into firewood. If they've got any part of them that's straight for longer than 8 foot, about 9 foot sections, you're sitting on a gold mine. Those are very valuable trees. Most wood buyers prefer to take the tree down for you. That's correct. Although you're going to pay more naturally if somebody comes and does most of the work for you. Britt Bannery. Morning, Britt. Bear, are you familiar with madrone? No, I am not. I don't know what that word is. I have a lot of red elm. Is 30 minutes from a small city too close? No. Joe Biden took credit for the COVID vaccine. Mark Levin called him an ambulance chaser. Good morning, Patriot Plumber. Bear, how long have you and your family lived in this place from the suburbs in Texas? 2.5 years, Brandy. 3 years in the spring. Can you believe it? Allelopathic is the word. Good word. Bama Buckeye. Is there a good YouTube channel for learning about trees? I don't know, Bama Buckeye. I don't know. I learned most of what I know about cutting timber from an old Austrian guy and an old German guy in upstate New York, John Borg and John Deal. And they both, the two of them, remind me of Caleb from the Bible. Like, hey, I want that mountain. Yeah, dude, but there's 3 giants up in that mountain. Give me my axe, man. I'm as good as I was 40 years ago when we spied out the promised land. Let's go. Like, these were tough old men. Tough old men. They were awesome. And between the two of them, I learned almost everything I know about cutting timber and running chainsaws and felling trees with wedges and axes and how to rig properly and how to tie knots and how to grade lumber and things like how to build bridges out of trees to walk your equipment over if you got to cross a creek or a ravine. I mean, just all the things. And then when I first started cutting timber, I was poor as dirt. I had a $500 pickup truck and a $200 chainsaw, and that's it. And a strong back and good work ethic. And I started cutting firewood, and then that turned into cutting timber to keep up with the firewood demand. And then that turned into cutting timber under contract. And all I really knew was knocking trees over and cutting them up into logs. And it occurred to me one day that, hey, these things are really cool. Maybe we don't need to be cutting all of them down. And so then I got into what's called arboriculture, which is like for trees, whereas horticulture is for like bushes. You know, so anything typically that's 15 foot or under is considered horticulture. Anything that grows taller than that is considered arboriculture, trees. And so there's an organization called the ISA, the International Society of Arboriculture. And so I was accredited with them for a while when we did tree work, utility line clearance, and all of that. But I didn't keep up with my continuing education credits. And most of the tree identification I know comes out of the Northeast because that's where I was reared. So as I've moved around the country, I've tried to learn about the trees in the areas where I was at. For example, I've been here long enough that I'm now, coming up on 3 years now where I'm just getting to the point where I can look at a tree, look at the bark, look at the leaves, and know what I'm looking at. And like most of them are easy. Like these back here behind us are loblolly pines. They're easy. But some of the smaller things, is that a hedge or a privet, or, is that a sand plum, or what's going on over there? It's, oh, hey, look, it's a wild cherry tree. Very cool. Or mountain ash. No, it's not a mountain ash. It's a tulip poplar. Blah, 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 blah. So the 372 XP is a beast. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Had to take down a huge shagbark hickory. That sounds like fun. Hey, Bear, I'm an ISA certified arborist just north of you in Tahlequah. Awesome, 7137. Send me an email. Let's hang out. I know a bunch of people in Tahlequah. Let's party. Have you talked about meat rabbits? Only 100 times. What do you want to know? Yes, I agree overall. Living, you've got one. It's about the only Husqvarna I want to put my hands on anymore. Steel all the way. Yeah, everything I've got in my stable for saws is a steel. But the 372 XP is a beast. Never heard of Kentucky coffee bean trees. Hey, I'm curious to know on this webcam, all this wind that we've got here, is it coming through for y'all? And if so, is it obnoxious? Yeah, Sean Rice, that's right. Are you coming to Jenks? 7137. Don't hear it. Good. Awesome. No wind. Sounds good. Awesome. Marlo. Oh, baby, let my people go. Ugh. No wind. 5.5. Got it. That's awesome. Steel 320 16-inch to cut up the stormfall around the property. We've got a little steel 171. We've got a steel 362 with a 20-inch bar. The 171 is my wife's with a 16-inch bar. We've got a 362 with a 20-inch bar, a 392 with a 25-inch bar, then an 066 Magnum with a 32-inch bar, and then an HT 131 pole saw with a 14-inch bar on it. I'll probably at some point, I have no need, just an interest, to get something like a 271 or maybe the 262, which is like the professional size, professional version of that size saw with an 18-inch little Pico chain, the thin curved chains. Those things just rock. And I used to have a whole freaking stable full of MS200T top handles, but I had somebody in my life at the time that decided that they needed to sell all my chainsaws because they had need of money. And so I don't have those anymore, but that's okay. The Father restores. Other than the hen, there's no background noise. Roger that. I would earn an hour overtime cleaning, sharpening, and fueling the saws every day. Yep. What about long-term SHTF? Silky Katana Boy 500 for backup. Hey, hold on. I got an answer for that. I see your Silky and raise you a 6-foot crosscut saw. Plus every axe and maul and splitting wedge known to man. This thing is like, it's too big. Maybe. Saw Squatch does a bear log roll. Pole gaffs to tree gaffs? No way, man. It depends on what you're climbing. You ever try and climb something with thin bark like a birch with pole gaffs? Kiss the ground, buddy, because that's where you're headed. No. Good sharp gaffs, though, are a huge deal. You know how many people I've met that their gaffs, I mean, you couldn't open an Amazon box with them, let alone climb a tree or a pole with them. How many axes is too many axes? I'm not the guy to ask that question to. I may or may not have an addiction to sharp things, and I love axes, man. Dudley, bless you, bro. Chaim. Why are all the sheep standing over there looking at the corner of the...
Because Bailey.
Oh, got it. No such thing. The next thing that I'm kind of in collection phase right now is like, I have an adze, and I have a couple of draw knives, but I want some big chisels. And then I'd like to get I have one of y'all actually brought me a box last year that had 3 bracing bits in it and a bunch of bits, you know, big ship boring bits and paddle bits and all of that. I'd like to get that squared away, you know, lube them up, make sure they all work. I haven't made it that far yet, but timber framing is a passion of mine. It's not something that I have a whole bunch of time for right now. Timber framing chisels, exactly. I know, big Supreme Court hearings today, man. Do you own any Ninja Stars? I do. They look like this right here, and they're much easier to throw, and they go much farther as well. I have the whole brace kit. Amen. So growing up, my old man was in line construction. Imagine that. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree, right? And he and his guys called them sawdust pumps. They'd, run up a pole that they had just set by hand, put that thing in here, just bore a hole right through the pole, hanging cross arms and insulators by hand. I think I knew what a line wrench was before I knew how to speak English. I was like, that's a line wrench. Number 9 Kleins, to this day, I could see a pair of number 9 Kleins from 100 yards away. Splicing scissors, man, I'm always looking at people's belt lines anyway, but I see a dude with a pair of Klein splicing scissors and a sheep's foot knife hanging off his belt. I'm like, hey man, what are you splicing? So my father's still in lineman, 60 years old. That's awesome. Hey Bear, do you like the 10 millimeter caliber? For me, no. It's a lot of recoil. It's very expensive ammunition, and it's frankly overkill for most things and most people. It fits in the same frame as this gun right here, which is a 45. However, it's a lot more felt recoil. It's just impractical for most people. Now, if you're using it, say, because you live in an area where there's me's running around in the woods, where there's bears and things like that, yeah, sure, absolutely. And here's the thing with 10 millimeter. 10 millimeter, the FBI determined that 9 millimeter was not enough millimeters to stop bad guys, so they went to 10 millimeter. They ran 10 millimeter for a while. They realized that there was so much felt recoil and blast that a lot of their agents, specifically the small statured ones and the females, were having an incredibly hard time shooting it. So they derated the powder load in that cartridge that made it perform much more like a Smith & Wesson 40 cal. And so the 10 millimeter ballistics went to hell because they didn't have the powder charge that they were intended to have. So then the FBI realized, and I'm paraphrasing here, and law enforcement as well, realized that, well, if we're going to have that minimal of a powder charge, we might as well just come up with the Smith & Wesson short and weak 40 cal. And so they did. And so then that made the 10 millimeter more or less obsolete in the FBI and law enforcement. And so now there's still to this day a lot of 10 millimeter loadings that are essentially 40 cal loadings. So you want to make sure that if you're going to get 10 millimeter, that you're paying twice as much as everybody else for ammo that actually does twice as much as everybody else, not essentially shooting a big expensive 40 S&W. So, yeah, see that, and that's the other thing, Joshua. 45 plus P is as good or better. The Barnes X-Tax 185 plus P solid copper hollow points, that was my carry ammo for a long time in this here handgun, and it is it is awesome ammo, absolutely awesome ammo. Thunderous sensations. You're welcome. Oh, Mad Kelp, we got you, brother.
Daddy, can I please go to the horseback riding?
Daddy, can I please go to the horseback riding?
You gotta go get dressed. We'll tell 9 to get you dressed.
Honey, I'm not in charge of that. I think that you have friends coming over, or you're going to see friends. I don't know. Huh? They're coming over? Okay. 14 minutes? I need to be done with this? Is that what you're saying? Oh, we got toddlers coming. Do the toddlers want to live stream?
They might.
Yes, Bear shaved his head. I love how YouTube doesn't know what to censor. So Lead Sprayer 45 said black sex links are great. Well, that's a breed of chicken. That's not an inappropriate comment. It's a breed of chicken. So all good, all no. Any indication yet of how the waves of doom the Supremes are brewing will impact us? Well, we'll end with this, boys and gerbils. Keep doing what you're doing. Keep doing what you're doing. I mean, keep doing what you're doing. Keep preparing. We're not changing anything about what we're doing. We might turn up the volume knob a little bit. We might go even harder than we already are, but just keep doing what you're doing. Old school Glock 21 with 13-round clip. Me too, except I got the +2 base plates on my reloads because 15 rounds of blow your lungs through your back is better than 13 rounds of blow your lungs through your back.
Can I go to a horseback riding, please?
So, I guess, hey, you got your tactical pants on and our shirts match. Whoa. Come here, my mini cop. You got your tack pants on? You got your tack pants on? Hi. You're going to be a law enforcement officer when you grow up?
Yeah, I got my boots on.
And you got your boots on?
Yeah.
You look so tough.
Thanks.
I would not run from you in a traffic stop.
Shooting? Tonight?
We are going shooting this afternoon, assuming that it's not raining.
It's right.
Awesome.
The wind keeps on scaring me.
Hey,
What?
did I teach you how to use one of these?
No.
What is it?
It's a Cub Kit Pro.
It's a Cub Kit Pro. What's in it?
Tourniquet.
Huh?
A tourniquet?
Do you know how to use a tourniquet?
Yeah.
You do?
Yes.
So, if I took this out of the turd, tactical utility retention device, I said, you just got shot in your left arm. Go. Go. Mark time.
Okay.
You're bleeding. You better hurry up. Hurry up. You're bleeding. You're going to die.
Done.
25 seconds. Check your radial pulse. Good job. Good job. Lee Roby, if you could only have one chainsaw, what would it be? For me, it'd be a Steel MS362 with a 20-inch bar. But for you, it should probably be a Steel 290 with an 18 or 20-inch bar. Good job. Way to not die. You're welcome.
I was taught by some cool person. You know, Richard, he's pretty awesome.
Oh, yeah. Richard is the cool guy who taught you how to use that? I see how it is. Well, I actually look like Richard today since I shaved my head. So
You did.
yeah, I did.
Oh my gosh.
You need to work on your cop skills. You didn't notice that immediately?
I had a hat on.
Is she your daughter? You bet your ass she is, and
Yep.
she's awesome. Thank you.
I don't know how to fold those.
You don't know how to stage this?
No,
How many times have we gone over this?
I don't know.
You're
Quite a bit.
You're going to the 8-hour class, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you
Yeah,
looking
Mom
forward to
lets
that?
me. Yeah.
You're going to the 8-hour class. Are you looking forward to it?
Oh, that's a chicken. Yes, I am looking for it.
That is definitely a chicken.
I
That
thought it was
chicken.
the cat. I was about to go run
No,
at
that
the
chicken
cat.
has been the star of the show today. All right, so we got to get. We appreciate y'all as always. Please, if you're going to be in the store, we appreciate you guys being in the store too. That helps us feed the 17 people that work with us. Use Patreon. Use Bear Nation is their promo code. This is on the everybody. So you please, if you're going to be in the store, we love you all. Thank you for being in the store. Use Bear Nation as your promo code. That's what it's there for. That gives you 10% off everything in the store, including training. So, and that's a big deal because our trainings are not cheap, but they are freaking wonderful.
They were a lot of fun. I was partnered with Dom for it.
Yeah.
Fun.
Yeah.
Chicken.
And the 8-hour class is going to be awesome. Cool. Now you know how to use a tourniquet. Wonderful. So now we're going to disorient you, put you in the dark, cover you in blood, and have you triage victims that you've never seen before, don't know where they're at, and you can't see them because it's dark. And oh, by the way, we might be shooting at you. It's going to be a
Are you
blast.
doing that in the 8-hour class?
That's the
So
civilian
now?
8-hour class. So, yep.
Do I get one of those cool shirts that everybody else gets?
Did you order the cool shirts from Karen? Please order cool shirts from Karen. Okay,
You know my size.
cool. All right.
Hey, it's Badger.
It is Badger. Father Yah, thank you for an awesome day. Thank you for an awesome people. And Father, just conform us to your will. And whatever happens with this freaking election, keep us sane and keep us humble and continue to walk with us in Yeshua's name. Amen. Bless y'all. Have a wonderful day. We love y'all. You're incredible.
Eat cookies.
Eat cookies. Yep. Wise words from the oldest. Eat cookies. We'll see you tonight for Tactical Tuesday. Bless y'all.
Yeah.
Shalom.
Woo, massive cold fronts coming.